I'm going to show you a tool today that could potentially make manually building your n8n workflows obsolete. It lets you build powerful AI agents and automations with just one simple prompt. So having built over 150 custom automations, I often wonder if I'll continue producing AI agents and workflows manually this way forever, or whether I'll just need to structure the logic and the building will be done for me via a prompt. So today we'll be exploring string.com, which promises to actually do that for us. You can build and edit using just prompts. And in this video, I'm going to show you how it works using practical business examples that let you create, edit, and deploy AI agents and automations just by describing exactly what you want them to do. So let's jump straight into it. And as a side note, if you're looking for more exclusive content, then check out the link to my community in the description below. So string.com is a product by Pipedream, which is effectively a competitor of n8n, but they're probably a little bit more developer friendly, but they've gone out their way to basically make it as easy as possible to just prompt your way to a working automation, which is awesome. They've got around 2,000 inbuilt integrations, but they also have two key benefits over n8n. The first is that they allow completely custom code, which I know n8n has an element of as well, but Pipedream have always claimed to allow completely custom code to be added to your automations. And the second is that you can actually run Pipedream as the backend for your front end as part of their licensing agreement, because you're actually just paying for a cloud version of Pipedream. So like it says on screen, you effectively type in what you want. So it's to prompt, run, and deploy AI agents in seconds. And they've got a few examples down here of like brand monitoring, email categorization, send a message to Slack. But what we're going to do is go to the new product launch, which is called string.com. You're going to sign up for an account, and we're going to go over key practical business use cases, run the prompts, and see exactly how string.com performs. And we'll work out by the end whether it's a step in the right direction for workflow automation and where it's heading. So we'll see with some practical examples of whether it can actually build out what we're looking for and do it in a way that's going to save us time. And just quickly on the pricing plans for the cloud version of Pipedream, you can basically start on the annual plan for $29 a month, and it gives you 20 million AI tokens. So when we're going through the workflows here, we'll see if we actually hit that limit, and we'll see how far it can stretch basically. And we're going to start with a prompt to effectively generate LinkedIn posts, good LinkedIn posts, hopefully, from Reddit forum threads. So we want to take the top 10 posts at Monday, 8 a.m. from marketing, startups, and entrepreneur from the past week. We want to pick the 5 most engaging topics and create professional LinkedIn posts from those. And we've told it should be around 150 to 200 words. And what it should do is effectively send us all those posts in a nicely formatted fashion to my Gmail in a sense that I can just copy and paste it and start and schedule that on LinkedIn. So let's give that a go. Let's see how long it takes to run, and we'll come back when we've got the result. And like every good AI tool nowadays, it's effectively got this prompt chat window. So we're effectively talking it through with the agent before it actually builds it out for us. And what it does first is it builds out a plan for you. So I'll create an agent that runs every Monday at 8 a.m. to curate Reddit content. So it's reading it back to us to make sure it's understood correctly. And then we basically have a stage where we can actually approve the plan. So I think this is really great. Rather than jumping to conclusions, we actually get to approve, and we can say, don't ask again, and let's approve plan and start. And then it's going to pop up a window like this where we can actually see a preview and the progress of everything being built out. So in the progress window, it shows you all of the logic that it's running through. And I presume in the preview window, it's going to pop up with a preview of the automation so that we can try and run it and see if that's run successfully. And what's really cool about this is you can actually see the number of tokens used. So I think it was 2 million tokens that we had available in the basic plan. We're actually currently on their free plan at the moment, so we'll see how far that can go. But you can see step by step exactly what's happened. So it's created a new agent. It's looking up components for Reddit, Gmail that are from the Pipedream pre-built integration, and presumably would add some code node if it doesn't have a pre-built integration. Now it's talking about adding a trigger and adding a step. So it's building it out step by step as we go. And what's really cool is I'm discovering this for the first time, same as you, is actually we can see every step as it's being built out in the preview. And then if we click into any of these steps, we've actually got the backend code as well. So if you are a developer, this is a really cool way to actually build out automation workflows, because if you want to change some features, for example, the subreddits that it's going through, it's actually very easy to just go inside and do that. And rather than n8n, which is almost like a black box, so we can't change anything, we can actually go in here and change some of the features that it's pulling. And you can see that it's got all these different fields that it's going to pull from Reddit. So hopefully it's able to pull that. And one thing it's asking us to do now is to connect to a Reddit account. So we just need to log in there. And we can also see that actually it's done where we don't have a pre-built node, like analyzing top posts or generating custom LinkedIn posts. It's actually gone out and built a JavaScript code node where it's done the analysis for us in here. We could go in if we wanted to actually change the structure of the analysis. We could copy all of this text from here, go to something like Claude or Perplexity and actually ask it to edit, or we could directly ask it to edit how it's analyzing the top post, for example. And just to show you exactly what's happening, where we have a node that we're not currently connected to, it guides us through the process of what we need. So we need a client ID and client secret. And then if we click more info, it takes us to a documentation page where it walks through every single step of how to set up, for example, a Reddit custom app, which is going to be approved, and give it the redirect URI that's going to basically pass information back to string.com. So this is really cool how it's all integrated into the building process. So it's told us we need to take this step and then pushed us to the right documentation to take that step rather than having to go and search for documentation ourselves. And then once you get that set up, which was really easy, we just need to basically submit those credentials and it's going to start actually fetching those Reddit posts. So it looks like it's going to also run this to check if there are any issues. And you can see it's given us a progress update there. Nice. It's gone and tested it automatically for us without us asking it to be tested. And then the next step, it's basically gone through to try and test the next one, which is actually analyze the top post. So if you remember, we have this JavaScript node in the preview, which was analyzing top posts. That has failed in its own test. So it's actually done automatically. It's going to start actually changing the step until that hopefully passes. So without any work at all, it's starting to work and build through the logic here. So it's changed the step and now presumably it will start testing that secondary step. And then it's used the code node to generate LinkedIn posts. And apparently it's tested that successfully. And I assume that this little JSON structure here has all the results, but we'll see those in a second. And we're going to configure our Gmail account and then it's going to send us it by Gmail. So we'll have a look at the first results. And what's really cool again is this is self-testing. So we configure the Gmail account and now it's like, okay, I need to test that. And it's saying, I need to configure the Gmail account. The Gmail send email step has been configured. Now I need to test it in the final step to ensure it can successfully send the formatted email. So all of the logic is actually built into the back end of this. It's understanding what steps it needs to take if there's an error and actually correcting those as it goes through. So really, actually very impressed so far with it. And it's identified there's a syntax error in the email body and therefore actually created a fix for that, which is awesome. Give the first email. So it's basically come up with a summary. I built your weekly Reddit to LinkedIn account, a LinkedIn content curator that runs every Monday at 8 a.m. I can spot already that it's a manual trigger, not running Monday at 8 a.m. So we'll get it to fix that in a minute. It fetches posts from these different Reddit forums. If everything works like you want, you can deploy the agent at the top right of the UI, or I could add some additional features. And it's even suggested some features, filtering out posts with certain keywords, adding sentiment analysis, include engagement metrics. So this is really cool because it's actually suggesting other things. The sad thing is when it's come through to the email, it's obviously sent an email, but what it's done is it's tried to stringify all of the embedded JSON objects. And it's basically come through like, here are your 5 LinkedIn posts. They've got it the general structure, but then actually it's just coming through as a bunch of JSON or JavaScript non-stringified objects. So what I should do is basically just prompt it now to say, fix the 8 a.m. trigger, but also fix the email, and I'll send it an example of what it's sent me. You can see the troubleshooting stage. I've just said, this is the email. As you can see, it's not right. Here are your 5 LinkedIn posts for the week. And then I've just put exactly what was in the email, basically. And I've said it doesn't run at 8 a.m. every day. So let's hit there. And by the way, we've used 2.6 million tokens so far in the conversation, presumably because there's a lot of back-end logic going on with the AI usage that we don't see or is part of this progress panel. But right now, I haven't been prompted to actually upgrade to a paid plan or anything like that. So we'll see how long that continues for, because this is all good and well if it actually works and build out workflows. But if it's going to cost too much to actually build these out, then we're going to think twice about using a tool like this. Okay, so a few things happened whilst you were away. The first is I spoke too soon. I ended up using the 4 million free tokens. So you can see that actually 4 million doesn't go a huge long way. We've managed to build out a fairly basic workflow, which is very cool, by the way. It's really cool how it's analyzed the top posts, it's generated the LinkedIn posts, it's formatted the email content, and I'll show you that in a second, without me touching anything. And this would have taken a long time to get to this point in something like n8n if you were building out manually. It's done all of that for us, don't forget, but it has used 4 million tokens. We're going to have to upgrade now to get the 20 million tokens, so I can show you the second examples, but it gives you a sample of like how far you can get on the free plan, and you can try this out for yourself. So it's now saying, if we look at the progress, that it's actually the agent has been fully built, tested, and debugged successfully. The time trigger now runs daily at 8 a.m. All 5 steps are now working, so it's tested it. The email formatting issue has been completely resolved. So we'll actually now go and show you the email that it's arrived. And you can see that it's given us a subject. So weekly LinkedIn content, top 5 posts from Reddit marketing communities, very cool. And it's got all the different posts here. And I asked it to link the sources. And actually, if we click on one of those sources, it will hopefully take us directly to Reddit and to the actual thread. So it's a post from 3 days ago. So it is recent, and you can see that it is a top ranking post, or at least it got 1,000 upvotes. It's about what's one boring business you've seen quietly making a fortune. And the LinkedIn post off the back of that is, in the world of business, the quiet achievers often go unnoticed, while flashy tech startups dominate the headlines. It's the boring businesses solving basic problems that are quietly making fortunes. So it's like summarize the post actually. Here are 3 insights into the overlooked industries. And then it's gone through and it's basically linked the Reddit thread, but given us a good overview of those posts. And you can see that it's got 5 different posts that we can have a look at on Reddit here, that it's done completely for us. We've not had to do anything here, all high ranking posts. And that is really good content for our LinkedIn. All we need to do is probably give it some tone of voice that it can relate to, that writes like us. But actually, that's a really powerful workflow created in such a short space of time. The only problem I see is, one, I've run out of AI tokens and I can't see a way to deploy this. So I'm going to have to upgrade anyway. And 2, this hasn't quite come in a format that's ready to go on LinkedIn. So it might need a bit of iteration, but we could effectively copy and paste this. Let's see how it looks on LinkedIn. So if we open up LinkedIn, we'll go down to create a post and let's copy and paste that in and see how that looks. It's probably not going to be perfect, but it looks like it still fits in with the character limit. So it hasn't at least gone over there. But if you've posted on LinkedIn before, you'll know that they don't do any of the formatting here. So we probably have to give it that context first. So it's not perfect, but that's probably the models actually running these in the back end. So I'm sure there's some way to actually choose your model as well. So I've gone in and upgraded. And if you choose a monthly plan, it's $45 a month. So it is quite costly if you're going to pay that to get potentially 3 or 4 workflows out of this. But if it's going to save you a lot of time and you're not very technical, you can actually build out some really cool workflows very quickly using this. And I'm sure it'll become cheaper over time as this becomes more democratized. But we basically can purchase additional tokens through here as well. So if we wanted to, we could purchase a 10 million tokens for $10, which actually then doesn't seem so bad if we're going to get 1 or 2 workflows out of this. So let's do the second example now, so you can see a different example and how it executes that. When you upgrade, it actually takes you directly to the Pipe Dream interface. So it looks very similar to the string.com, but we've got no chat interface anymore. But you can see that we've effectively got all the steps, the trigger at 8 a.m., the fetching, the sending an email, and we can actually manipulate all of the inputs and outputs in a similar way to which we do in n8n. We've got all of the inputs and output fields defined for us here that we can change and update and have a play around with. So let's go back to string.com and see if it's got our project in. And maybe before it didn't have a deploy button because I wasn't a paid member. So if you don't see that also, you might not have a deploy button. I'm not sure. Maybe it was just a glitch, but we can go back and start a new chat here. And we're going to enter a new search here. And this is going to be effectively trying to find testimonials for our brand name and actually putting them into a new Google Sheet. So at 10 a.m., search for mentions of our company name on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Google reviews, filter for posts with positive sentiment, extract the review text, review a name, platform, and rating, and format each as a testimonial card and add to a new Google Sheet that will form our testimonials database. So I'm not sure how it's going to format it as a testimonial card, but we'll see what happens. And let's just pretend our company is n8n, name is n8n. We're going to start that and I'm going to let it run through. I'm going to work through the bugs and then show you exactly the output that it's created. It's going to ask me to configure to those different platforms potentially. So we'll run it and we'll come back at the end. And one thing that's quite cool is it actually shows you the tokens used in that specific conversation, not just across the whole lot. So you can work out how much a workflow costs you to actually produce a single workflow rather than all of your workflows. So you can actually put a cost to a specific workflow that's been created, which is actually a really cool thing to do. And so far, it's looking great. It's gone through and it's added all the steps. So it's got search Twitter mentions, search LinkedIn mentions, Google reviews, format testimonial cards, etc. And you can obviously click into those and see exactly what it's looking to pull. But what's really cool here is that actually a developer could come in here and change the workflow, or even you could come in here. It's just JavaScript and actually read through this logically and actually update this if you want. Now it's asking to actually connect to our accounts again. Now, one thing that's great here is actually it asks for me to set up an app inside Twitter to get those account permissions. And I decided it wasn't worth the time for this demo. So what I've actually done is just actually tested another feature, which is can it edit on the go? So I said, forget about Twitter. Let's just go for Google reviews and LinkedIn. And it actually went and deleted the steps. So not only can it create the workflows, it can actually go and constructively edit them, which is great. When you're logging into something like LinkedIn, it's actually done all of the authentication pane for you. So it's just going to connect directly to your LinkedIn account, and it's going to say it would like to access these scopes, and it gives you the option to just actually allow that rather than having to go and set up a custom ID, custom secret, etc. or an app. So I must say I've really enjoyed how it actually interacts with you as it goes through. The chat window is really intuitive and it's actually testing and solving everything. We don't need to go in and say this is broken, this is broken, this is broken all the time. And actually it's got all the steps in here. A lot of these are just code steps, which you'd have to create yourself on something like n8n. So that's great. And now we're going to see if it actually works. So it says, I've built your daily n8n testimonials monitoring. Runs at 10 a.m., searches LinkedIn and Google reviews for positive mentions, and successfully formats any findings into testimonial cards we'll see and adds them to your Google Sheet. So it's fully configured and tested. You can deploy it, the button at the top right up here, or you could add some additional features, email notification, include Reddit and other social platforms. So I love how it does that, but it also gives us an option to deploy there. So let's deploy it. Let's see what it can actually do. And let's run it and see if it actually can do what it says it's done. So it's saying it's now deployed. We're going to go into Pipedream. And by the way, that used 3.3 million tokens. So less this time because there's less troubleshooting and more just connects direct to the apps. So you could actually build this on the free plan or the free tokens you're allowed to use as well. So if we open it inside Pipedream, it actually comes up with a window where we can run. So let's just give it a run and see what happens, see if it creates that new Google Sheet, see the format that it's created in. And I have a feeling it might struggle with the format because these things tend to think they can do more than they can, and then they're going to try and format into a testimonial card, and that doesn't really fit in a Google Sheets table. So we'll see what it spits out. But the main thing, I guess, is actually searching LinkedIn for mentions, searching Google reviews for mentions, linking back to those people, and actually having daily updates of our mentions. And we've not done anything. We've just typed in a single prompt and it's built everything for us with a few errors that it's fixed by itself on the way. Now, coming back to show you exactly what's happened, I ended up hitting more roadblocks than I did with success. So there's a couple of things, a couple of harsh truths that need to be true about tools like string.com and n8n if you're going to have a chat interface. And this is just something that's maybe I'm misunderstanding how it works, but it's thrown me over to pipedream.com, which has a slightly more technical user interface. So I'm running these sample events and I can see if I click into each node, we've got the different kind of code in here, and we've got the inputs and the logs and things like that. But one thing I found is it's not found any positive mentions on LinkedIn or Google reviews for a company like n8n, which is huge. So I've myself typed in n8n Google reviews, and you can see there's lots of reviews, even though they're on n8n directly. There's lots of reviews on Google and LinkedIn. I've seen loads of positive messaging around n8n, for example. So I'm not sure why it's picking up nothing there. So at this point, you're going to either need to go back and actually prompt it to change it in string directly, change the logic and work out why that's happening, or you're going to need to go into the actual code itself, which I don't know whether it's better to do inside Pipedream. Is it better to do inside string where you can chat to it as well? So they kind of need to consolidate these interfaces into one usable interface. The other main issue I had actually was is adding it to a Google Sheet, but unless I'm being totally dumb, I can't find a way to actually find the output spreadsheet. It's called test document delete later, but I actually can't find the document anywhere in my Google Drive. So yeah, I've searched for it. I can't find it. It doesn't seem that there's a link in here. So there's like a critical missing step between how do I get to the end stages or the test outputs that I'm actually trying to produce in order to see them, because I wanted to see these outputs. One, it hasn't collected the reviews, so there's going to be no outputs anyway, but it's saying it's added them to a Google Sheet, but I can't actually find a Google Sheet under the name that it said it's created in that account. So there's a couple of things that need fixing before that. Other than that, I'm really impressed with the way that the interface actually works together. It's a really clean, very usable way to actually construct workflows. And like I mentioned at the beginning, it would be awesome in the future if you don't need to actually construct these nodes or these segments themselves. You just need to understand the overarching theme of what you want to achieve in your workflow. And you can talk through it, can fix its own problems, and you can actually go and prompt similar to what you do when you build a UI with Lovable, but with a tool like n8n or Pipedream. So hopefully that gives you a flavor of what's possible. Go check it out on string.com and you can use 4 million tokens for free.